What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Wow, man. Look at you
Hello,
go.
hello.
Hello.
Your setup is really putting us to shame here. We've got like the velvet seats going on, and
I
these
know.
these are they sort of fancy animal portraits? What's going on back there?
Yes, it's self-portraits.
They're
You know,
self-portraits
it's
Self-portraits.
how
from
it's
from another life.
it's how what I look like on the inside too. Um, no, actually, I got this.
Understood.
I got these at Emrod's wedding.
Oh, from that
No
store.
way.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god, I remember that now.
yeah. So
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't describe it, but it's fun to look at, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
sometimes we have visual aids.
What's
But
up, Dom? I haven't seen you in like
I know it's been a minute, eh?
in over 10 years.
It's been
been
it's been over
84
10
years.
years. Um, No, I'm good, dude. I'm doing really well. I just finished this TV show in New York, and then on the back of
Yeah.
that, I've just bought my first house, which is really exciting. So I'm in here now, and I'm like,
Congratulations.
thank you,
I
buddy.
know,
Yeah, so
everybody's
I'm
growing up.
slowly trying to figure out, grown up stuff like council tax and all that jazz. But it's getting there. It's getting there bit by bit.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
put
What
some
about
gray
you,
hairs
man?
in you.
Tell
So.
me. Seriously. Tell me what's new with you? What's been going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
Just I've this past couple of years just, trying to be a dad. That's
Yeah.
been really wonderful.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's a lot of work. It's a big shout out to just parents in general. I thought what we did was really hard, but this pales in comparison for sure. But it's one of the coolest things ever. And learning a lot about humans. That's the biggest
I
thing.
bet. Well, because it's a
Yeah,
weird
That's
thing, isn't
really
it? Like
wonderful.
the process sort of evolves. Like, I mean, from my very limited knowledge of what it is, like, the way that it was sort of normal to raise kids when we were kids is now like, oh no, we got like a whole new bunch of information now.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is,
yeah.
And then add the pandemic on top of that. I mean, between the two of you, I have no doubt you had an amazing time, but also it must be sort of difficult, but
Yeah.
fun at the same time.
I mean, yeah, I think it has to be both. We always think about it's like, it should be the greatest time ever, and it's like, no, it's not. It's not. It really isn't but you can't have that without then it'll lead to some of the greatest moments, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Totally.
Like if you have great moments every time, then like, what is the point of anything?
Yeah.
And I think for those times when I always think about like, oh, how many of those days would I have been gone for like 8-10 hours gone,
Mm-hmm.
and to have that and to really get to know a person is just really incredible. So beyond just having kids, I think whether you're with your sibling or you're a loved one, I think you get to really know every side of
Well,
them, and I think
Yeah.
that
this is
informs
what's
you
so
a lot on
interesting.
how you want to approach it.
Totally. Like, so this ties in perfectly to this story that I very often tell about you. Like, I was literally talking to my girlfriend about you 3 days ago. Because the longer I worked with you, the more I got these little, like, someone, like, in the ether would be like, Harry did this, right? And I would be like, no way. Fuck off. Really?
Oh yeah.
Like, someone would be like,
Yeah,
Harry, you
this
remember
is
the
this is what I
iPods
always
ads? And I'd be like, yeah, of course. Remember Harry was the original silhouette for that? And I was like, what? And I'd go back and watch it. I'd be like, sure
I
enough,
know.
there's his silhouette and his hat. Like, that's Harry. That's how he moves. That's crazy.
Yeah. And this is what's so astounding about you, Harry, is you're one of the most humble people that I know. And yet you've done so many things and you've been in this industry for so long, but we always find out about it circuitously. We're like, wait, I'm sorry, what? I mean, I'm not surprised at all. Harry's a supremely talented individual and has kind of done everything. But still, it's so astounding the fact that you have done so many amazing things and yet are still the wonderful person that you are.
Oh no, thanks, y'all. I always just feel like I stumbled onto these things, and like how you like kind of stumble on the set and like, oh, and action. You're like, yeah, and then you try and do
Sure,
as best
yeah.
as you can.
So figure
So I
out
still
Make it till you
feel
make
as
it,
you're
baby.
doing. Yeah.
I tell this story a lot about you, and it's something that I was a dancer growing up as well. And so, I think all of us looked up to you and Isaiah and everyone who'd been through these sort of experiences before
Mhm.
and, had been in processes that had longevity and that you dealt with fandoms and you dealt with all of this crazy up and down roller coaster that we were about to embark on. And I just remember sitting in my living room in Kansas City at, 10, 11, 12 years old watching you on Glee and going, "Oh my god, the way Harry moves and how he
I did
dances
too.
and how he brings character into it and everything else. I wanna move like that. I wanna dance like that. I wanna figure out how he does what he does." Cut to several years later, I'm working with you and, you're becoming a friend and a mentor, and I've been in awe of you for so many years, and just the fact that, we get to sit here now and reminisce about one of
So
the
funny. I had
journeys
such
that
a similar
transformed each of our lives
experience.
is amazing. Yeah?
Yeah, I remember there was one scene in particular in Glee that really stands out to me, and I remember it. I can't remember what I was doing. I actually think I was doing like Fame or something at the time and doing like a terrible job at it. And then I was watching Glee, and I was like, maybe I can move like these guys. And there was an episode where Mike, you say you want to sing for the first time, and I remember sitting there
Oh,
watching it,
I love
like,
this
let
episode.
him do it. Let him fucking sing. Please let him sing. And I was so invested. I was like so there with him. I was like,
Yeah.
let him sing. Let him have a go. That was really cool. Speaking of dance and your background, why don't you tell us a little bit about and everyone about how you sort of got into dance and how that
Yeah.
formulated within your young self.
Let's take it back to the beginning. We wanna know what makes a Harry Shum Jr. because we need more of them in this world.
Wow. I get asked this question a lot, and sometimes I have to like, you have to give the 1 minute version or the 30-second version, and no one wants to hear the 20-minute version. But
I think they might on
I
this.
just
You've
grew.
got
I
as
was
much time as you like.
well,
We got all the
I was
time in the
just
world.
very shy as a kid, not and I I've been processing that, like, why was I so shy as a kid, and kind of moving uh from Costa Rica to America, specifically San Francisco. I just found it really bizarre, and a- just the culture shock of it all, I think, started to really make me shy, because I always felt I was going to say the wrong thing. And I didn't realize how, I didn't really speak English. And, at that age, it's easier to learn any new language
Hmm.
than but 5 and 6, it's not just learning a language; it's learning a culture and learning how people interact with you. And so I kind of shut down and didn't do my homework. I didn't know how to do anything. Like, I didn't know it when teachers were talking in class. I just kind of just shrugged my shoulder and went home. And then I got called. My parents got called, and they kind of couldn't speak that much English. So the teachers were telling them, like, this kid doesn't do his homework and is not paying attention in class. And my dad's just like, okay, so is he in trouble? And over time, I I didn't really academia, like, just learning kind of in classrooms, just really I think would have put me in a bad path, because I didn't have the capabilities at that point, and no help. um so I think dance was something I watched, and I was like, oh, that's a fun way to communicate, that I just get, that I didn't really have to learn, even though, obviously you start learning techniques over a period of time, but just like kind of like the initial movement of expressing yourself was something that I just like would watch Michael Jackson. And I, at that time, it wasn't like YouTube, where you can, right now, you can literally click on, just right, type in dance, and then you see like millions of videos of dance. I didn't have
Right.
that. So music videos started to become like a thing where, watching Madonna's Vogue, and then you're like, oh, that's neat. And it took me until really junior high, serendipitously walking into a drama class and saying, and be like, well, I want to join. And because it just looks like people were having fun, not because I watched movies and I was like, I want to be an actor, I want to do that thing. It was just to fit in, to feel like, what is this language being spoken in here? And I started doing improv, and then, mainly being casted as background actor, which really said a lot. When I got on the Glee, I was like, I got really good at being a background actor, just because it was something that, you know, I you know, I remember that one of the teachers like would give me an applause, not give me applause, but just like would make me an example of like, well, look at this guy. You know, he's in the background. He's like he's really like living his life back there and not trying to upstage. And so it's like, everyone do that. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm a good background actor. Awesome. Like amazing. And I really
It's
helped. I
so
was like, yeah, because
important.
you know,
It
it's so
is.
important. That's why I give so much props to good background actors, because you
Hmm.
can make or break a scene. And to people be like, well, they're just backgrounds, like that's bullshit again, because you know it's the gestalt of, like, it's the whole of it, right? You know, if you're making a
Yeah.
movie, you need to care about the whole of it, not just the
Hmm.
mains or, you know, the above the line. It's just like the whole matters.
Yeah.
And you know, learning through that, you know, as I slowly moved up the uh kind of the ranks. And then there was this musical that we did, and it had dance. It was like a 1950s, like it had swing, so we had to learn how to swing. It was my first time actually like dancing, learning dance properly on stage, and not just dancing in my bedroom like an idiot. And I remember that feeling, and I was like, oh shit, I'm kind of like, I get this. And partnering was something I wasn't really good at. I'm still not good at, but because it just makes me nervous, because it is, you have to have someone you trust in front of you to do it, and then they
Mhm.
have to trust you. And once that happens, it's like beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But from then on, like, you know, I got into high school, and I stopped kind of doing plays. It just wasn't a thing that I was like really into at that time. And then there was this dance audition for the dance team in high school, and it was very similar to kind of Glee. It was like there's no boys, and then I mean, except for like one or two, and then all like kind of the jocks were just like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to do this? And then we all auditioned, and then ever since then, it just became like we're choreographing dances, and then it just became like something cool to do. And from then on, like it just kind of snowballed. And I look at life it's just odd, because I didn't set out to do any of this. It wasn't something I told my parents like I wanted to be an actor. It just kind of like I didn't want to go to school. I just didn't want to go down that path because I sucked at it. and this and I was like, I have to do this. I have to do it well. I have to do it as best as I can. I have to learn about the business. I have to be um, kind to people, to myself, and hopefully that'll start to become you know, a big part of uh, how I naturally progress in this business. And kind of, you know, and I told myself like, once it stopped becoming fun, then I'll stop doing it. And you know, that is just kind of where I'm at right now. It's been really, I've been really fortunate to have these experiences, to meet people like y'all, and to be able to even talk about this is honestly just like a privilege. And but dance has been a big part, and I give a lot of my my everything, to as far as even acting, to dancing, because the physicality of it, I think, is just as important as, you know, how you're approaching a character, because that says a lot about people that we kind of don't really uh, put too much emphasis on as a language. And you know, we always focus on the dialogue and focus on like what is being said, when I think it's just important. When we all know as actors, like what is not being said is just important, but what is not being said is either the stillness, which is still a major part of what the opposite of that is, movement. So you know, how you are sitting and how you are moving to grab that glass, or even approaching a person, matters.
Mhm.
So my long rant is done. You know,
Dude, I couldn't agree
Well,
more.
no, but it's
Honestly, I
interesting that you
think.
say that, though.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Cap.
I was just saying that, as all three of us being dancers or people with dance backgrounds, it's interesting that you mentioned how many elements of that kind of cross over, be it the trust you have in another person or the thought about physicality and the creativity that you have to carry that through, especially when it comes to shadow hunters and, creating these characters and these creatures. And all three of us had to kind of figure out, how do these people move and how do they exist in the world, and put our trust in each other that we all were creating this cohesive world. And it's funny how life can sort of set up situations and experiences that kind of lead you into what you need to have as you're moving forward.